Final heavenly warning. Grace is fading fast. Heaven will not send this message again. Open this before 11:59 or lose your divine favor forever. My cherished one, a trembling sound rises in the unseen realm tonight, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a message so weighty that even the heavens quiet themselves to carry it to you. The title you just opened is not a poetic warning, it is a spiritual alarm. Final heavenly warning. Grace is fading fast. Heaven will not send this message again. Open this before 11:59 or lose your divine favor forever. These words were not formed in human breath. They were pressed into time because something around you is shifting, something you have ignored, something your spirit has felt but your mind kept postponing. Right now, Michael stands with his sword lowered, not in battle position, but in declaration. He whispers, "The window is shrinking." There are seasons when heaven pours and seasons when heaven pauses, but you, beloved, are standing at the edge of a moment that will not repeat itself. You have been sensing delays, spiritual fog, unsettling dreams, unexplained heaviness, and sudden resistance from places you never expected. These are not random. They are early tremors of a closing grace period that heaven extended only because of the compassion written over your destiny. Michael reveals that there are two forces hovering over your life, one trying to accelerate your breakthrough, and another trying to distract you until the moment passes. And the second one knows it has only a few breaths left. That is why it has increased noise, confusion, and conflicts around you. Pay attention. Not everything that irritates you is merely earthly. Some of it is spiritual engineering designed to push you out of position before your divine timing arrives. There is a matter in your life, a decision, a calling, a correction, a step of obedience that heaven has been speaking to you about for weeks, months, or even years. You know exactly what it is, even as you hear these words. And Michael says, if they miss this hour, the next one will not carry the same favor. Not punishment, not rejection, but a shift in spiritual climate, like missing a train that won't return for a long time. Listen carefully. There is someone you are connected to who has been draining your light, pulling your spirit downward, or keeping you tied to patterns you were meant to outgrow by now. Michael says, untie what heaven did not bind. Because the moment that is coming for you requires clarity, not confusion. Peace, not chaos. Alignment, not emotional debt. There is a place, a habit, or a relationship that has been bargaining with your destiny, and heaven will not negotiate with it anymore. You may feel a sudden pressure in your chest or a stillness inside your soul as you hear this. That is confirmation. You are being awakened, not frightened. You are being summoned, not scolded. The Father's heart is not pushing you away. It is pulling you urgently closer. Because what is coming in your next season is so extraordinary that heaven refuses to let you miss it due to one delay, one distraction, or one disobedience. Michael shows me the image of a gate, a radiant, open gate, slowly beginning to move, inch by inch. Not slamming shut, but narrowing. Meaning, grace is still here. Favor is still available. Mercy is still open. But the extended window, the one heaven stretched beyond its original timing for your sake, is reaching its final minutes. Before 11:59 symbolizes not a literal clock, but the last call for spiritual correction, adjustment, or surrender that you already know you need to make. You've been carrying something heavy, hurt, fear, resentment, hesitation, and heaven says, release it now, while the gate still listens. Michael is not warning you to terrify you. He is warning you because you are chosen for something monumental. You have an assignment on your life that darkness has tried to bury under busyness, under exhaustion, under self-doubt, under broken trust. But heaven refuses to let your purpose expire under the weight of earthly distraction. And hear this clearly, the divine favor you've been waiting for, the breakthrough, the direction, the change, the restoration, the opportunity, has been ready for you far longer than you have been ready for it. Your blessing is not delay. You are catching up to it. And now is the moment heaven is aligning everything so the blessing and the vessel can finally meet. Michael says, remove what weakens your light. Step where heaven has been pointing. And do it now. Not in fear, but in readiness. Something large is about to unfold. You don't want to blink right now. Before you move on, pause for one breath. Let your spirit absorb what your mind may still be processing. The next revelation is heavier, deeper, and meant only for those who are truly listening. Hold still, because what comes next will shake the hesitation out of your soul. Type "I align with heaven" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 1444 is now activated. And before you scroll, steady yourself. What you're about to hear next is the moment everything becomes clear. Dearest soul of light, there is a stirring around you right now that feels almost invisible to the natural eye, yet your spirit cannot deny it. Archangel Michael moves closer in this moment, not as a distant guardian, but as one who recognizes that the weight you are carrying has become heavier than what your heart was designed to bear alone. He knows the questions you cannot form into words. He knows the pressure behind your silence. He knows the fatigue that wraps itself around you when no one is watching. This next revelation is not a continuation of the previous warning. It is an unveiling of what has been happening behind the scenes, around you, and even within you. You are not imagining the sudden shifts. You are not overthinking the intense emotional waves. You are not exaggerating the battles that feel like they come from nowhere. Michael says, your atmosphere has been contested because your destiny is awakening. You have been feeling an unusual tension in your relationships, your decisions, your finances, your sleep, and even your thoughts. And the reason is simple. The moment you received the heavenly warning, the realm of darkness recognized that you were becoming aware of what it has been trying to keep hidden. Awareness is a threat. Awakening is a disruption. Obedience is a declaration of war. You step into a spiritual alertness that exposed what has been quietly draining you for too long. And now, Michael reveals that the enemy of your destiny has been attempting one final push. One last emotional manipulation. One last whisper of doubt. One last overwhelming situation to distract you from your alignment. Because alignment is the most dangerous thing you can step into. When you align, you become unstoppable. There is a specific area of your life where you have been hesitating. Something you know you should do, say, release, or confront. Something that keeps resurfacing, no matter how many times you try to ignore it. Every time you attempt to move forward, that one thing rises like a shadow in front of you. And heaven shows that this very thing is the root of your spiritual exhaustion. It has siphoned clarity, joy, and energy from places where you should have been receiving nourishment and strength. Michael whispers, this is your turning point. Handle it now while grace is still active over it. You may be wondering why heaven is being this urgent with you. Why such strong language? Why such specific timing? Why such weight behind every message? It is because your future is pregnant with a breakthrough that will not only elevate you, but also shifts the atmosphere of everyone connected to you. You were chosen as the first to awaken in your circle, the first to break a generational pattern, the first to walk away from cycles that have trapped your bloodline for decades. You are the one carrying a mantle that does not belong to those before you. And because of that, your journey comes with unusual opposition. But hear this. Unusual opposition is proof of unusual purpose. Michael shows a vision of you standing at a crossroads. One path looks familiar, comfortable, predictable. It would require no faith and no obedience. But the other path, the one lit by divine timing, looks intimidating, uncertain, and demanding. Yet that is the path where your harvest waits. And heaven is watching to see which direction your spirit will lean toward. Not because God wants to punish you or test you, but because your next move is the seed of your next season. This is why hesitation feels more painful than ever. This is why confusion keeps trying to cloud your thoughts. You are standing in the place where destiny is whispering. Choose wisely. Choose courageously. There is also a matter of timing that heaven emphasizes with intensity. You have been praying for a sign, for confirmation, for reassurance, something that tells you you're not mishearing the spiritual realm. And Michael says, this is your confirmation. The heaviness you've been feeling lately is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of transition. The discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. The closed doors are not rejection, they are redirection. You are stepping out of a season where heaven tolerated your delay, and stepping into a season where heaven is requiring your resolve. There is also someone around you whom heaven is revealing. Someone whose presence has become costly to your peace. Their energy disrupts your clarity. Their words weaken your confidence. Their actions keep you stuck in emotional debts that heaven never wrote into your destiny. And Michael says softly, release what tries to dim your anointing. You cannot carry dead weight into a season that requires spiritual strength. You cannot nurture connections that fight the very promises you are praying for. Your elevation will not apologize for outgrowing people who refuse to grow with you. Prepare yourself, because the next revelation will address what heaven has been trying to give you, but you are not yet postured to receive. Something powerful, something transformative, something that will shake everything inside you and bring you into alignment with the very destiny you have been praying for. Take a breath now. Still your heart. The next moment carries a divine force you are meant to encounter. Before we move forward, anchor this message into your spirit. Type I choose alignment in the comments if this speaks to your soul. Blessing code 2299 is now release. Hold on. What comes next will shift the atmosphere around your life. Beloved bearer of divine calling, the atmosphere around you has shifted again, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a gravity that feels different from anything you have sensed before. His presence is not only protective now, it carries an urgency that resonates like a drumbeat in the unseen realm. You have crossed into the part of your journey where heaven begins to unveil the deeper blueprint of your destiny, details that were hidden until your spirit matured enough to receive them. What you are feeling in this moment, that quiet pull inside your chest, is not anxiety. It is activation. It is your inner being responding to a message tailored for this very hour. And heaven reveals that you are not simply walking toward breakthrough. Breakthrough has begun walking toward you. That is why your spirit feels awakened in ways your mind cannot fully understand yet. Michael shows a vision of you standing in a vast, open space where the ground beneath you begins to glow softly. This is symbolic of divine placement. You are being positioned, not merely moved. And the difference matters. When heaven moves someone, it shifts their circumstances. But when heaven positions someone, it shifts their purpose, their strength, their authority, and their influence. You are in a season where God is not simply answering prayers. He is aligning you with a version of yourself that you have not yet seen, but heaven has known from the beginning. There is a greater you rising, a wiser you, a braver you, a more spiritually discerning you. And it is this version that heaven is urgently calling forth right now. There is a message Michael needs you to hear clearly, because your spirit has waited for this revelation longer than you realize. You have outgrown the spiritual environments that once shaped you. The places where you sought comfort no longer feed your spirit. The people whose validation once mattered no longer influence your direction. The battles that once drained you now appear beneath your calling. This is not arrogance. This is elevation. When heaven elevates someone, it disconnects them from the lower vibrations that used to hold them emotionally hostage. And that is exactly why certain conversations feel draining now, why certain connections feel heavy, and why certain commitments feel out of place. You are not disconnecting because you stopped caring. You are disconnecting because heaven is upgrading your spiritual frequency. But Michael's message goes deeper. There is something around you, a situation, a responsibility, or a relationship that has started to feel strangely unstable. You sensed a shift, but could not explain it. You felt the atmosphere become tense, yet could not identify the source. And now heaven reveals the truth. That instability was not a sign that you were falling apart. It was a sign that God was loosening the ties to something you were never meant to carry into your next season. The discomfort was not a warning of danger. It was a preparation for release. Heaven is removing things quietly so your heart does not break unnecessarily. Sometimes what God protects you from feels confusing at first, but clarity always comes once the shift is complete. There is a matter you have been wrestling with internally, a choice that has hovered over your mind, a fear that has tied your hands, a question that you have been too afraid to answer honestly. Heaven says, it is time. You cannot delay this decision any longer, because the pace of your destiny depends on your willingness to respond. The longer you remain in hesitation, the more the spiritual pressure around you intensifies. Not because God is punishing you, but because heaven knows what lies ahead. You are approaching a door that will not remain open indefinitely. It is a door to restoration, opportunity, clarity, and divine favor. But to walk through it, your heart must be steady and your spirit must be aligned. This is why heaven is confronting your hesitation with love and urgency. Michael also reveals that someone in your surroundings has been watching you closely, not spiritually, but emotionally. Their energy attaches itself to your decisions, your mood, your growth. This person may admire you, depend on you, or even love you, but their presence is not contributing to your elevation. Instead, it binds your progress to their stagnation. Heaven is highlighting this connection so you can recognize it for what it is, not an enemy, but a misalignment. You are being called higher, and they are not ready to climb. You can care for them, you can pray for them, but you cannot allow them to anchor you to a season God is instructing you to leave. There is a powerful truth forming in the spiritual realm right now. Your future is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to be willing. Heaven does not require flawless obedience, only surrendered obedience. And if you take even one step in the direction God has been pointing you toward, everything begins to accelerate. Doors open. Paths clear. Answers rise. Support appears. Breakthroughs manifest. You are closer to transformation than you think. Michael says softly, do not underestimate what God is about to release into your life. Your journey is shifting from struggle into purpose, from searching into receiving, from confusion into clarity. But what comes next requires your full attention, your open heart, and your unwavering trust. Prepare yourself. The next message will reveal the spiritual assignment that has been waiting for you behind every battle you have fought. Before you move forward, Speak into your destiny. Type "I step into my calling" in the comments to seal this shift. Blessing code 5501 is released over your life. Also, take a moment to like this message, share it, comment to amplify it, and subscribe so you never miss what heaven releases next. Your engagement pushes this message into the hands of someone who desperately needs it. The message you just received is not only a revelation for you, it is a weapon for countless souls who are wandering without guidance. There are people living in spiritual drought, unaware that heaven is trying to reach them. When you sow into this mission, whether through super thanks, channel membership, or a direct offering through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a platform. You are releasing living water into dry places. Heaven declares, as you pour into my work, I pour into your life. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic act, a seed that heaven responds to with open doors, restored strength, and supernatural favor. I am inviting you personally now. Step into this flow. Let your giving speak loudly in the Spirit. Those who give into divine missions never walk into their next season empty. Speak your faith boldly. Act with obedience. Release what heaven places on your heart. Precious vessel of divine purpose, there is a deep stillness settling over this moment, and Archangel Michael steps forward again with a presence so firm, so unwavering, that even the air around you seems to pause. The message you are about to receive is not merely guidance, it is revelation. It is the kind of revelation that reshapes destinies, redirects paths, and awakens dormant strength inside the soul. You have come into the part of your journey where heaven begins to unveil not only what is happening around you, but what has been forming within you. You are not simply passing through a season. You are being summoned into a higher spiritual identity, and Michael's voice becomes the bridge that leads you there. There is something you need to understand clearly in this hour. Nothing in your recent experiences has been accidental. Every delay, every emotional struggle, every inner conflict, every sudden shift, and even every moment where you felt lost or overwhelmed, these were not signs of abandonment. They were signs of preparation. Heaven has been preparing the landscape of your spirit, clearing out old residue, breaking emotional patterns, exposing hidden ties, and strengthening the foundation beneath you. You have been undergoing a spiritual recalibration, even when you did not have the language for it. Michael whispers, the shaking you felt was not destruction. It was construction. You may have noticed recently that your emotions have become more sensitive. Certain things that never bothered you before suddenly feel heavy. Certain conversations drain you faster. Certain atmospheres feel unsettling. Certain people you once felt connected to now feel distant. And you have wondered why. Heaven reveals the truth. Your spirit has outgrown environments your mind is still trying to tolerate. What feels like discomfort is actually elevation. You are being lifted into a clearer spiritual frequency, and everything that does not match that elevation is beginning to fall away. You are not losing people. You are losing weight. You are not losing opportunities. You are losing distractions. You are not losing stability. You are losing limitations. Archangel Michael now reveals something deeply significant about the way heaven has been guiding you. For a long time, you prayed for answers, clarity, direction, and confirmation. But what you received instead were disruptions. Situations that forced you to reconsider your circle. Moments that required you to pause and evaluate. Times where the things you relied on became inconsistent. You wondered whether you were being punished or whether you had misheard divine direction. But heaven says, no. I was redirecting you through discomfort. Sometimes God closes doors not because the destination is wrong, but because the route is outdated. Heaven has been closing emotional routes, relational routes, and even mental routes that could not carry the weight of who you are becoming. There is also a spiritual truth that Michael wants to address, because this truth is the foundation for what comes next. You have been fighting battles that were never about the present moment. They were about the future you are stepping into. Every attack, every setback, every disappointment, every betrayal was strategically designed to weaken the version of you that heaven ordained to rise in this hour. But despite everything that attempted to break you, you did not fall. You may have bent emotionally. You may have cried privately. You may have questioned your strength. But you never surrendered spiritually. And that is why heaven is elevating you now. Not because you were perfect, but because you remained open. Not because you never struggled, but because you never quit. Your endurance has been recorded in the spirit realm, and heaven rewards what the world overlooks. There is a deeper revelation forming now, one that may explain why you sometimes feel spiritually restless. Heaven reveals that your calling is larger than your comfort zone. The path ahead of you requires bolder decisions, stronger boundaries, and wider faith. You cannot walk into divine purpose with earthly fears. You cannot carry sacred assignments while clinging to familiar cycles. You cannot step into breakthrough while holding onto emotional clutter from seasons God has already closed. Michael says, "Release so you can rise." And this release is not meant to break your heart. It is meant to free it. There is someone in your life whose influence has lingered longer than heaven intended. Their presence has shaped your choices, their emotions have influenced your decisions, and their energy has affected your clarity. Heaven is not exposing this person to condemn them, but to liberate you. Their role in your journey has expired. Their chapter in your story is complete, and every attempt to hold on to them any longer will only delay the alignment heaven is trying to usher into your life. Michael's voice becomes firm as he says, "Do not sacrifice your destiny at the altar of familiarity." Now, a final revelation emerges for this moment. You are entering a season where your spiritual sight will sharpen. You will discern things instantly. You will sense shifts before they surface. You will feel divine nudges guiding your decisions. This heightened awareness is not random, it is activation. Heaven is opening your spiritual eyes so you will not be misled, manipulated, or delayed again. You are stepping into clarity you have prayed for your entire life. And with clarity comes authority. Prepare yourself. What heaven is about to reveal next will expose the hidden assignment over your life, an assignment that darkness has fought fiercely to prevent. Anchor your spirit now. The next message will illuminate your purpose in a way that leaves no room for doubt. Before moving forward, seal this moment in your spirit. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments to align with heaven. Blessing code 7700 is now released. Stay present. What comes next will awaken depths inside you that you have never touched before. Beloved seeker of divine truth, Archangel Michael steps closer now with a presence that feels almost overwhelming in its intensity, and the atmosphere around this moment deepens. You have stepped into the portion of this heavenly message where the veil becomes thinner, where the things hidden behind confusion begin to take form, and where the true meaning of your recent battles begins to reveal itself. Heaven is not only speaking to you in this hour, heaven is positioning you. Every word that comes to you now carries the weight of spiritual architecture, shaping the blueprint of the path ahead. Michael's voice rises like a steady flame, guiding you into an understanding that your spirit has long waited for. You have been sensing something shifting inside you, something that does not feel like fear but feels unfamiliar. This inner movement is more than emotional change. It is the awakening of your spiritual assignment. Heaven shows that your purpose has begun to vibrate, stirring beneath the layers of your daily life, making you restless in areas where you once felt comfortable. This restlessness is not a sign of instability. It is a sign of activation. When heaven prepares to move someone into their divine assignment, peace in the wrong place becomes impossible. You were not meant to settle where you are. You were meant to rise into who you were designed to become. That is why certain habits feel empty now, why familiar routines feel limiting, and why being spiritually passive feels unbearable. Your spirit is being summoned to higher ground. Archangel Michael reveals something deeply significant. Your life carries a prophetic thread that has been growing stronger, even in seasons when you felt weak. There were moments when you believed you were drifting away from your purpose, when in reality you were being pulled closer to it through experience, endurance, and exposure. Every disappointment carved wisdom into your spirit. Every heartbreak created space for discernment. Every delay strengthened your spiritual muscles. Every tear softened the parts of you that needed to surrender. Heaven never wastes a wound. Heaven transforms wounds into wisdom, and wisdom into authority. And you are stepping into that authority now. You have asked God silently, "Why is my life different from others? Why do I feel battles they do not feel? Why do I sense things I cannot always explain?" And the answer unfolds here, because you carry a spiritual role that others do not. You have always been more sensitive to spiritual shifts, more aware of emotional atmospheres, and more affected by people's intentions. At times, you questioned your sensitivity, thinking it was weakness. But heaven calls it your weapon. You see what others overlook. You feel what others ignore. You discern what others dismiss. This has protected you more times than you can count. This sensitivity is not a flaw. It is an anointing. There is a divine assignment over your life, an assignment that darkness has tried to bury under emotional heaviness, confusion, inconsistency, and fear. But heaven has preserved this assignment because it is tied to people you will impact, destinies you will help unlock, and atmospheres you will transform simply by walking in divine alignment. Michael says, "You were never ordinary. You were hidden until the right moment. And beloved, this is your moment." The reason you feel an internal stretching is because heaven is enlarging your capacity. The reason you feel mentally and emotionally reorganized is because heaven is preparing a vessel that can carry the weight of its assignment. Michael now unveils something deeply personal. There were people around you who misinterpreted your calling. They thought your quietness was weakness, your compassion was naivety, your patience was lack of ambition, and your loyalty was blindness. But heaven saw something different. Heaven saw strength disguised as gentleness. Heaven saw endurance disguised as stillness. Heaven saw faith disguised as silence. And now, heaven is removing the misinterpretations from your life because they are no longer compatible with where you are going. Your rise will not require explanations. Your purpose will not require permission. Those who misread you will witness what God always intended for you. There is also a revelation regarding your environment. Heaven shows that you have been surrounded by spiritual noise, energies, voices, and influences that have cluttered your clarity. This noise came from people who confided in you, but drained your strength, situations that demanded your attention, but robbed your peace, and responsibilities that consumed your time but fed nothing into your purpose. Heaven is cutting through this noise now. Your clarity is being restored. Your peace is being recalibrated. Your atmosphere is being cleansed. In the coming days, you will feel a strange but powerful separation occurring inside you, not forced, not dramatic, but divinely appointed. The old noise will fade. the new clarity will rise. Michael whispers one final truth for this moment, and it is one that may settle deeply in your spirit. You are closer to transformation than you think. What has felt delayed will begin to accelerate. What has felt silent will begin to speak. What has felt stagnant will begin to move. What has felt confusing will begin to make sense. Heaven has not denied you. Heaven has been preparing you. The season ahead carries answers, direction, alignment, breakthrough, and purpose. But it requires your continued willingness to hear, to surrender, and to trust. Prepare yourself for what comes next. The next revelation will begin to uncover the very destiny you were born with, a destiny you are now finally ready to walk into. Before moving forward, anchor this word in your spirit. Type "I am ready for my assignment" in the comments to align with heaven. Blessing code 9920 is now released. Stay with this. What comes next will awaken the calling written in your spiritual DNA. Beloved one chosen by heaven, there is a stirring that rises now like a silent tidal wave within the realm around you. And Archangel Michael steps closer with a presence that feels sharper, clearer, and more authoritative than in any previous moment. You have reached the threshold of a revelation that heaven has guarded carefully until this point, because what is about to unfold requires your spirit to be awake, steady, and ready. Everything you have received up to this moment has been preparation. Every instruction has been foundation. Every unveiling has been positioning. Now, heaven begins to reveal why your journey has felt so spiritually intense, why the battles around your life grew stronger at certain times, and why your heart has been pulled toward transformation with such relentless force. This is the part of your path where heaven begins to speak directly to the blueprint of who you are. Michael shows an image of your life, like a scroll, rolled tightly for years, and now that scroll begins to unroll slowly, revealing details that were once hidden. This scroll represents your divine mandate. Not merely a calling, not merely a purpose, but a mandate, a spiritual assignment written over your life long before your first breath. This mandate has been protected by heaven, even in seasons where you felt spiritually weakened, emotionally drained, or mentally scattered. Heaven guarded your destiny, even when you didn't have the strength to guard yourself. That is the mercy of your calling. And in this hour, that scroll is being read in the Spirit. You have wondered why certain things in your life were harder for you than they seemed for others. Why you could not ignore your intuition the way others did. Why you felt responsible for things others overlooked. Why your compassion ran so deeply that it often overwhelmed you. Why betrayal shattered you more intensely. Why silence healed you more deeply. Why you felt out of place in environments that others love. Heaven says, because you were marked for spiritual sensitivity, marked for discernment, marked for inner authority, marked for a life that influences others even when you are unaware of your impact. Your calling has always been active, even when you were unaware of it. Michael reveals something profound. For years, heaven has been cultivating your spirit quietly. You thought you were surviving seasons, but heaven was shaping you through them. You thought you were wandering, but heaven was leading you. You thought you were breaking, but heaven was molding you. Every loss carved depth into you. Every heartbreak expanded your understanding. Every disappointment refined your perception. Every mistake deepened your wisdom. Nothing was wasted. The very experiences that wounded you forged spiritual capacities you now carry without realizing it. There is a divine gift inside you that has been waking up slowly, like a seed pushing through soil, and this gift is connected to the assignment you are stepping into. It may appear as intuition, as spiritual sensitivity, as empathy, as emotional depth, as discernment, or as the ability to feel what others ignore. But heaven calls it by its true name: spiritual sight. You are being trained to see beyond the surface of things, beyond people's words, beyond appearances, beyond distractions. You see into atmospheres. You sense alignment instantly. You detect spiritual shifts without explanation. And this sight is not a coincidence. It is preparation. Michael whispers, your life is a bridge heaven will use to reach others. You are not being elevated for your own sake. You are being elevated because your light will awaken others. Your strength will steady others. Your wisdom will guide others. Your transformation will inspire others to step out of their spiritual sleep. Heaven is not raising you privately for a private impact. Heaven is raising you privately for a future public assignment. Not necessarily on a stage, not necessarily in a spotlight, but in influence, in presence, in energy, and in spiritual authority. There is also a truth you must hear clearly. The battles you fought were not evidence of weakness. They were evidence of potential. Darkness does not waste resources fighting people without impact. It fights those who carry light powerful enough to disrupt its influence. Your warfare was not a curse. It was confirmation. Every battle you faced was proof of what heaven placed inside you. You are rising now not because you never fell, but because you refused to stay down. And heaven honors perseverance more than perfection. Michael now reveals something deeply personal. There is a connection, responsibility, or emotional tie that has been weighing heavily on you. Something that feels like a spiritual burden rather than a blessing. You have carried it out of loyalty, out of compassion, or out of fear of letting go. But heaven says, your destiny cannot be built on emotional obligation. You are being asked to release what exhausts your spirit and poisons your clarity. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in obedience. Your heart must be free enough to receive what heaven is positioning for you in the coming season. There is also an instruction forming in the realm around you, an instruction that heaven will reveal more clearly in the next part. But Michael gives you the beginning of it here. Prepare your spirit to respond without delay. The next revelation will require spiritual courage. It will require emotional honesty. It will require the willingness to surrender what no longer serves your calling. You are stepping into a place where destiny will demand decisions, and those decisions will shape everything that comes after. Your steps are being ordered. Your spirit is being prepared. Your purpose is being awakened. And heaven is about to reveal the clarity that will shift the direction of your entire journey. Before you continue, seal this transition with your declaration. Type I am awakening in the comments to align with heaven's movement. Blessing code 8844 is now released. Hold steady. What comes next will illuminate the truth behind your destiny. Beloved one who stands at the edge of revelation, Archangel Michael steps forward now with a presence that feels like a rising storm. Powerful, purposeful, and saturated with a clarity that heaven has kept reserved for this precise moment. The spiritual realm around you is shifting again. There is a weight in the atmosphere, not of fear, but of unveiling. You have reached the point in this journey where heaven begins to expose the deeper layers of your destiny, the hidden mechanisms behind your battles, and the true purpose of your inner awakening. Everything that has happened in your life, every struggle, every confusion, every emotional shaking, has been leading to this recognition of who you truly are. You are not standing here by coincidence. You are standing here because your spirit has matured enough to carry what heaven is about to entrust to you. Michael reveals a striking image of you standing before a massive doorway made of light. This doorway represents the next phase of your purpose, the realm of clarity, assignment, authority, and elevation. But before this door opens fully, heaven must show you the truth about what has been operating around your life. There have been forces attempting to distort your clarity at the exact moments when heaven was trying to accelerate you. These distortions came through emotional fatigue, sudden uncertainty, unexpected conflict, and the resurfacing of memories you thought you had buried. And you wondered why these old wounds reopened when you were trying to grow. Heaven says, because your healing was incomplete and your next season requires wholeness. You cannot carry wounded vision into a divine assignment. You cannot carry broken focus into a season of alignment. You cannot carry emotional residue into a spiritual role designed to restore others. There is another revelation Michael unveils, one that explains the strange sense of anticipation you have been feeling. For months, perhaps even years, you have sensed something approach in your life, something significant but undefinable. At times it felt like a breakthrough. At other times it felt like a warning. At other times it felt like an internal rebirth. What you were sensing was not one thing but three: transition, separation, and activation. Transition, because heaven has been rearranging your spiritual landscape. Separation, because heaven has been removing influences that cannot travel with you. Activation, because heaven has been awakening your spiritual identity one layer at a time. You have been walking through these three phases simultaneously without realizing it, and the pressure you felt was the merging of all three. Michael speaks now with clarity. Your spirit has been rising faster than your surroundings. This is why old conversations feel shallow, why old relationships feel misaligned, why old dreams feel too small. Heaven is enlarging you internally before enlarging your life externally. You are becoming a vessel that can carry greater authority, greater understanding, and greater spiritual weight. Heaven is not simply shaping your life. Heaven is shaping your capacity to hold what is coming. You have also been experiencing what heaven calls the thinning of the veil, a sensation where you feel more spiritually aware than ever before. You sense motives without hearing words. You feel pressure before circumstances change. You have sudden bursts of insight in moments of silence. You experience emotional shifts that do not match your environment. This is not overthinking. This is spiritual sensitivity sharpening. Heaven is training your discernment because your assignment will require you to recognize what others cannot see. You will be used to guide, uplift, discern, and illuminate. Your voice will carry impact. Your experiences will carry authority. Your story will carry transformation. But there is something important Michael needs you to recognize. You have been carrying too much responsibility for people who are not aligned with the next phase of your purpose. Your heart has tried to rescue those who were never meant to depend on you for their spiritual balance. You have tried to heal others while ignoring your own fractures. You have tried to carry others while your own spirit cried for rest. Heaven is calling you to release this imbalance. Not because you are abandoning anyone, but because you cannot rise under the weight of others' emotional shadows. You are not responsible for someone else's stagnation. You are responsible for your obedience. Michael now reveals a hidden truth you may have sensed, but never fully understood. There is someone in your life whose presence has been spiritually draining you, even though their intentions may not be harmful. This person's emotional instability, unresolved wounds, or constant dependency has created a spiritual weight that heaven never assigned to you. And heaven whispers, you must free yourself to free your destiny. Releasing this connection or redefining its boundaries will not harm them. It will liberate you. And your liberation will allow heaven to lead you into opportunities, clarity, and blessings that have been held back by emotional attachments. There is another truth rising in the realm. You have reached the point where your destiny requires your participation, not just your prayers. Heaven has heard every cry, every question, every plea. But now heaven is calling you to act, to align, to decide, to release, to obey. Your breakthrough is not waiting for divine timing anymore. Your breakthrough is waiting for your alignment. Your next season is ready. The question heaven asks is, are you? Michael's final words for this moment carry both strength and tenderness. You were chosen because your heart can hold what heaven intends to pour out. Do not fear your elevation. You were born for this. Prepare your spirit for what comes next. The next revelation will uncover the divine shift that is already unfolding around your life. Before moving forward, seal this in your soul. Type "I accept my mission" in the comments. Blessing code 4417 is now activated. Hold your ground. The next unveiling will open the gate ahead. Beloved child, standing on the brink of divine unfolding, there is a tremor in the spiritual realm as Archangel Michael steps forward again, not with the quiet guidance of earlier moments, but with the fierce authority of a warrior sent to awaken the final depths of your understanding. The atmosphere around this message is different now. It carries the weight of destiny, the vibration of urgency, and the unmistakable echo of heaven's final preparations over your life. You have walked faithfully through revelation after revelation, and now you stand before the part of your journey where heaven begins to reveal not only the forces that shaped you, not only the assignments rising inside you, but the shift that is about to take place in your life in real time. This is where prophecy begins to touch reality. Michael's presence intensifies because the next layer of truth requires courage, attention, and spiritual steadiness. Heaven shows an image of you standing in the center of a storm that is not harming you, but rather circling you like a whirlwind of transformation. This storm represents the convergence of every breakthrough, every correction, every alignment, and every purification heaven has been guiding you through. You may feel as though you have been stretched emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and even physically in the past months. And heaven says, this stretching was the expansion of your capacity. You are not being overwhelmed. You are being enlarged. You are not collapsing. You are being reshaped. What felt like pressure was actually preparation. The intensity of your battles has been in direct proportion to the magnitude of your purpose. Michael reveals something important. You have entered a new spiritual frequency. Your awareness is sharper. Your intuition is stronger. Your heart responds quicker to divine nudges. Your spirit rejects misalignment faster than before. These changes did not happen overnight. They were built through fire, through endurance, through disappointment that eventually revealed protection, through endings that were actually beginnings, through moments where you thought you were losing everything, only to discover you were being set free. Heaven is now aligning you with the version of yourself you were always meant to become. You may have noticed recently that certain things feel different. Conversations feel heavier. Silence feels more meaningful. Solitude feels more purposeful, and your emotional reactions feel more refined. This is not a temporary shift. This is the spiritual maturity of your calling. Heaven has been elevating your internal structure so that you can carry external blessings without being crushed by them. You are not being prepared for a small life. You are being prepared for a life that influences atmospheres, relationships, decisions, and even destinies. The weight you once struggled with will soon become the weight you carry with effortless grace. Heaven now directs your attention to something that has been lingering in your recent experiences. You have been feeling a strange pull away from certain people, places, patterns, and priorities. You may not fully understand the reasons, but your spirit knows. And here is the revelation. Heaven has been severing invisible ties, ties that drained you, ties that distracted you, ties that entangled you emotionally, ties that distorted your discernment. These ties were not always obvious. Some came cloaked as loyalty. Some came disguised as responsibility. Some came dressed as companionship. But heaven saw what you could not, and heaven has been separating you from attachments that would interfere with the elevation ahead. Archangel Michael speaks clearly. You cannot rise while holding what was meant to be released. And this truth must anchor itself in your spirit. There are people who cannot walk with you into your next season, not because they are bad, but because they are not aligned with where you are going. There are environments that cannot hold your destiny. There are conversations that no longer feed your growth. There are habits that cannot survive in the atmosphere of your calling. Heaven is purifying your path because your next step requires precision. There is also a deeper truth unfolding. Your spirit has been in transition between seasons, and this transition has made you feel surrounded by unknown energy. You may have felt disconnected from your old self, but not fully connected to your new identity. You may have felt like you were floating between who you were and who you were becoming. This in-between space is not confusion. It is metamorphosis. Your old self is dissolving. Your new self is emerging. Heaven is reintroducing you to your true identity. And the process may feel strange, but the result will feel like home. Michael now uncovers something profound about your future. You are approaching a divine turning point, one that will alter the course of your life in a way you will not be able to ignore. This turning point comes with opportunity, clarity, restoration, and divine favor. But it also comes with responsibility. Heaven will require your obedience. Heaven will require your trust. Heaven will require your readiness. What you are about to walk into is not random. It is orchestrated. It is intentional. It is purposeful. And it is time-sensitive. There is a message rising through the spiritual realm now. Prepare your hands for what heaven is placing in them. Your next season will require you to act, to speak, to move, to choose, to align, to step forward boldly. The gates of hesitation are closing. The gates of destiny are opening. You are being summoned into a level of spiritual authority that you once doubted you could carry. But heaven always knew you could. Before this ends, let your spirit settle into this truth. You are not entering the next season alone. Archangel Michael is assigned to your path. Heaven's hand is upon your decisions, and the shift has already begun. Seal this moment with your declaration. Type "I receive my elevation" in the comments. Blessing code 6618 is now activated. And now, my beloved listener, before you move forward, take one moment to support this divine mission. These revelations reach thousands because of hearts like yours. Hearts awakened, hearts aligned, hearts obedient. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, channel membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not just supporting a message, you are strengthening a movement. Heaven uses your generosity as a seed of light that reaches souls trapped in darkness. Scripture is alive in this moment, declaring that those who sow into divine fields will reap divine harvests. And now I speak to your spirit directly. I am inviting you to stand with me. Your support opens gates for others, ignites their awakening, and expands the reach of heaven's voice on this earth. Move with faith, move with boldness, move with obedience. Let heaven see your heart through your action. Ye of souls standing beneath the unfolding heavens, Archangel Michael moves toward you now with a presence that feels unmistakably decisive. The atmosphere surrounding this moment carries a weight unlike anything you have encountered in previous parts, because heaven is beginning to reveal not just the spiritual shifts around your life, but the divine outcome they have been preparing you for. What you are sensing now, the quiet pull in your spirit, the heightened awareness, the deep inner readiness, is not imagined. It is the sign that you are crossing over into the realm of divine manifestation. Your preparation is no longer theoretical. It is becoming active, visible, and undeniable. Michael speaks with profound clarity, for the revelation ahead requires your full attention and an open, willing heart. There is a vision rising in the spiritual realm, and heaven shows you standing in a field as light begins to break through the sky. This light is not symbolic of general hope. It represents the beginning of divine release. For so long, you have walked through seasons where promises felt distant, prayers felt unanswered, and your heart carried a quiet ache for something more. You endured long nights of uncertainty, days when your strength felt thin, and moments when you questioned whether heaven still remembered you. Heaven says, not only were you remembered, you were being refined. Every delay refined your patience. Every struggle corrected your path. Every setback purified your motives. Every moment of silence strengthened your inner foundation. You were not being denied. You were being perfected for the blessing that is now approaching. Michael reveals something powerful that your spirit must absorb. Your life is entering alignment. True alignment. The alignment you prayed for, cried for, waited for, and sometimes doubted. Pieces that once felt scattered are beginning to gather. Paths that once seemed unclear are beginning to straighten. Doors that once appeared locked are beginning to shift in their hinges. Heaven is aligning decisions, opportunities, connections, timing, and even divine protection around your next step. What once felt random now reveals its pattern. What once felt confusing now reveals its purpose. Heaven works with precision, and now that precision is unfolding around you. There is a specific reason your spirit has felt more sensitive and alert lately. Heaven has been cleansing your inner atmosphere so your discernment would be strong enough to recognize the opportunities coming your way. Not every open door is divine. Not every invitation is destiny. Not every connection is alignment. Your spiritual senses needed sharpening so you would not mistakenly accept what was beneath you or overlook what was meant for you. Heaven is training you to detect divine movement by intuition, not circumstance. By inner peace, not external validation. By spiritual direction, not emotional pressure. Michael speaks firmly. Your spirit is ready to carry what your past could not hold. There were seasons where you asked for blessings you were not yet prepared to sustain. If they had arrived then, they might have overwhelmed you, distracted you, or drawn the wrong people into your life. But now your heart has matured. Your boundaries have strengthened. Your vision has clarified. Your character has deepened. Heaven does not release blessings only when you desire them, but when you are developed enough to protect and multiply them. And beloved, heaven declares you ready. But with this readiness comes a necessary revelation. Old identities cannot travel with you into your new season. The version of yourself that survived the wilderness cannot be the same version that prospers in your promise. You must release the identity tied to insecurity, fear, self-doubt, and emotional wounds. Heaven says you cannot ascend while dragging your former self behind you. Your new season requires a new internal posture, one that trusts your calling, honors your growth, and embraces your divine authority. Do not shrink to fit where you used to be. Rise to meet who you are becoming. Michael now unveils something deeply personal. You will soon be given an opportunity that carries the fingerprints of heaven. This opportunity will appear unexpectedly, yet it will feel familiar, as though your spirit has been waiting for it. It will come with clarity, peace, and supernatural confirmation. Heaven will not send confusion disguised as blessing. When this opportunity arrives, your spirit will know. And this time, you must step forward boldly. Hesitation has cost you enough. Doubt has delayed you long enough. You are entering a season where action is your anointing. There is also a truth that heaven needs you to embrace. You are worthy of what is coming. You are worthy of restoration. You are worthy of alignment. You are worthy of elevation. You are worthy of divine favor. Do not let your past convince you that you are unqualified. Heaven does not choose based on perfection. Heaven chooses based on purpose. Your life carries purpose that outweighs your mistakes. Your future carries weight that outweighs your wounds. Do not disqualify yourself from what heaven has already ordained for you. Michael's voice becomes steady, filled with conviction. Something you lost will return in a transformed form. This may be peace, confidence, clarity, direction, or even a dream you abandoned long ago. Heaven is in the business of restoration, not replacement. What was taken unjustly will be restored with interest. What was broken will return stronger. What was delayed will return accelerated. Heaven's restoration is never equal. It is multiplied. As this revelation settles over your spirit, prepare for what comes next. The next part will unveil the shift that heaven has already released into motion, the movement that will bring your destiny into full manifestation. Before moving forward, declare your readiness. Type "I align with heaven's timing" in the comments. Blessing code 7744 is now released over your life. Steady your heart. What comes next will feel like stepping into your divine turning point. Beloved one standing beneath the weight of divine acceleration, Archangel Michael steps forward again with a presence that feels like a curtain being drawn back from the unseen. The air around this moment carries a rare stillness, the kind of stillness that comes only when heaven prepares to reveal something that has been hidden in the deep chambers of your destiny. You are no longer in the early stages of awakening. You are now walking through the inner courts of revelation, where heaven shows you not just what is happening around you, but what has already begun shifting beneath the surface of your life. What you feel rising within you now is not anticipation alone. It is recognition. Somewhere in your spirit, you already sense that something irrevocable, undeniable, and transformative is unfolding in your favor. And heaven confirms it. The shift has begun. Michael shows a vision of you standing before a massive wheel, ancient, radiant, alive. This wheel represents divine timing, and it has begun to turn on your behalf. For a long time, the wheel appeared still. You prayed. You waited. You hoped. You endured seasons that seemed stagnant. But while you believed nothing was moving, heaven was aligning the gears. Timing is not random. Divine timing requires precision. And now, that precision is bringing you into the alignment you were always meant to reach. The movement you feel internally is the echo of spiritual wheels turning externally. The moment you felt forgotten was actually the moment heaven was preparing your next chapter. There is something essential that Michael wants you to understand. Destiny unfolds in layers, not leaps. You have been walking through layer after layer of inner transformation, cleansing, releasing, realigning, awakening. These layers were not delays. They were construction. Heaven has been building you from the inside outward, because what is coming requires a foundation that cannot be shaken by emotion, opinion, or adversity. You have been strengthened quietly, refined gently, sharpened spiritually, and awakened deeply. Now your inner transformation is beginning to attract outer transformation. This is why your spirit has felt restless lately. This restlessness did not come from confusion or dissatisfaction. It came from divine readiness. Heaven has been nudging you forward, urging your spirit to detach from anything that resembles your old season. You may have felt drawn toward new routines, new environments, new people, new goals, or even new forms of expression. This is not random. It is preparation. Heaven is shifting your identity so you can step into the atmosphere of your next season without hesitation, without fear, and without shrinking back into familiar patterns. Michael reveals something deeply significant. The resistance you have faced in recent months was not a sign of failure, but a sign of transition. Resistance increases when destiny approaches. The closer you get to breakthrough, the more aggressively distractions attempt to pull you back into old cycles. The delays were not divine. They were spiritual interference designed to distort your clarity. The heaviness was not punishment. It was the weight of your old self trying to hold on to you. But heaven declares that your old season has officially expired. You cannot return to what no longer aligns with your spiritual identity. The door behind you has closed. The path in front of you is opening. Heaven now brings your attention to a truth you have felt but never fully understood. You are entering a season where divine opportunities will begin to appear in rapid succession. These opportunities will not require striving. They will not require begging. They will not require you to compromise your peace. They will require only recognition and alignment. But to walk through these opportunities, your heart must be free from the fears that once held you back. Heaven is asking you to believe in the magnitude of what is coming. You are not waiting for small blessings. You are preparing for significant elevation. Michael speaks with authority as he reveals this next truth. Someone near you has been subconsciously competing with your spirit's evolution. Their reactions, their silence, their distance, or their sudden changes in behavior may have confused you. But heaven wants you to see clearly now. This person has sensed your elevation even before you fully recognized it yourself. They are not your enemy, but their presence cannot accompany the fullness of your destiny. You must allow separation where heaven has placed it. You cannot apologize for your growth. You cannot dim your light to maintain someone else's comfort. Destiny does not negotiate with insecurity. There is also a revelation rising around the theme of restoration. Heaven shows that something you once loved, something that once inspired you, something that once awakened hope inside you will return, but in a transformed and elevated form. It may come as a renewed dream, a revived passion, a restored relationship with yourself, or an unexpected opportunity connected to something you thought had died. Revival is moving through your atmosphere. What you thought was over is only beginning. Heaven specializes in resurrection, not replacement. Michael's voice grows firm yet gentle. Prepare your heart. You are stepping into the season where manifestation begins. The spiritual groundwork has been laid. The emotional healing has begun. The mental clarity has strengthened. The divine timing has aligned. You are not entering a season of vague hope. You are entering a season of tangible fulfillment. Heaven is not asking you to dream. Heaven is asking you to receive. And now, beloved, you must ready yourself for what comes next. The next part will reveal the personal instruction heaven has been holding for the moment when your spirit was strong enough to hear it without fear and steady enough to obey it without hesitation. That moment has arrived. Before moving forward, seal this revelation over your life. Type "I embrace my divine shift" in the comments. Blessing code 1155 is released over your journey. Remain attentive. The next unveiling carries a directive that will shape everything ahead. Beloved soul standing at the edge of divine instruction, Archangel Michael steps toward you now with a presence that feels sharper than any moment before, as though the very atmosphere has tightened to carry the weight of what is about to be spoken. You have walked through awakening, cleansing, elevation, restoration, and alignment. Now you have reached a portion of this heavenly message where revelation becomes direction. Heaven is preparing not only to show you what has been happening around your life, but to speak directly into the path you must walk next. This is the moment where heaven does not merely inform you, it appoints you. The spiritual realm is unusually still in this hour, because the instruction you are about to receive carries the potential to unlock doors, break cycles, and shift the entire trajectory of your destiny. Michael reveals a vision of you standing in a place that resembles a crossroads. But this is not the crossroads of confusion you once knew. This is the crossroads of destiny. The ground beneath you glows faintly, indicating that you are already standing on holy territory, territory reserved for those who are ready to rise without hesitation. All the inner work you have gone through has led you here. Every battle trained you. Every disappointment purified you. Every delay humbled you. Every awakening sharpened you. Heaven has not been preparing you randomly. Heaven has been preparing you intentionally for the exact moment you are living right now. The instruction begins with a revelation about your inner narrative. Heaven shows that your destiny cannot unfold fully until you break free from the old stories you have been telling yourself. Stories of not being enough, of being overlooked, of being unqualified, of being behind, of being burdened, of being forgotten. These narratives were forged in seasons of survival, not seasons of calling. But you are no longer in survival. Heaven whispers, you are in transition to purpose. The identity you used to cling to must be released. You cannot carry insecurity into a season designed for spiritual authority. You cannot carry self-doubt into a season where heaven requires boldness. You cannot carry fear into a season where you will be required to act decisively. Heaven is asking you to rewrite your inner language so that it matches the destiny you are stepping into. Michael now draws your attention to something deeper, an instruction regarding your emotional atmosphere. Heaven reveals that there is still a lingering weight in your heart connected to something unresolved. It may be a conversation you avoided, a relationship that ended abruptly, a disappointment that pierced deeper than you admitted, or a memory that resurfaces at the most inconvenient times. This lingering weight is not a coincidence. It is a spiritual block, not placed by heaven but formed through emotional residue. Heaven says, you must release what exhausts your spirit before rising into what fulfills it. This release will not be dramatic. It will not require confrontation. It will require honesty, honesty with yourself and with heaven. Your spirit cannot climb while your heart clings to what no longer serves your elevation. Michael's voice strengthens as he reveals the next part of the instruction. Heaven is calling you to change the spiritual posture of your daily life. You can no longer approach your future casually. You can no longer treat your purpose like an optional path. Your destiny requires intentionality. Heaven needs you spiritually awake, emotionally guarded, mentally focused, and consistently present. This is the posture of someone chosen for divine impact. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be fearless. You need to be willing. Willing to rise. Willing to obey. Willing to release. Willing to step forward even when the road is unfamiliar. Heaven now shows a revelation concerning your circle. There are people who admire you but cannot understand you. People who benefit from you but cannot walk beside you. People who love you but do not grow with you. And while this does not make them bad, it does make them unaligned. Heaven says, Elevation requires separation. Not because you are better, but because your path is narrower. Your next season requires relationships that support your clarity, not your comfort. People who nurture your vision, not your vulnerabilities. People who honor your purpose, not your past. You must allow heaven to shift your inner circle without resisting out of guilt or fear. Your future depends on the voices you allow near your spirit. Michael reveals a powerful truth next. Something in your life that has been stagnant will require your action to move. Heaven will not push this for you. Heaven will guide you, but you must take the step. This may appear as a decision you've delayed, an environment you've outgrown, a dream you need to revive, or a boundary you must enforce. When you take this step, even if it trembles beneath your feet, heaven will respond instantly. The moment you move in obedience, the atmosphere around your life will shift with acceleration. Destiny favors the bold, not because boldness earns favor, but because boldness activates alignment. There is also a revelation concerning timing. Heaven shows that the window you are stepping into is a limited one, not because heaven punishes delay, but because divine seasons move in cycles. This cycle is open now, and it is ripe with opportunity. The instruction is clear. Do not postpone the inner shift. Do not hesitate when clarity comes. Do not remain still when heaven stirs you. Your obedience in this season will determine your elevation in the next. Michael speaks with tenderness now, softening the weight of his earlier message. Heaven has waited for you to reach this exact state of readiness. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on time for the destiny forming before you. All the pain, all the confusion, all the wondering has been leading you to this moment of clarity. And heaven smiles upon your endurance. Prepare yourself for the next revelation. What is coming next will reveal the divine shift already unfolding in your physical world, not just your spiritual world. Before moving forward, anchor this instruction. Type "I obey" the calling in the comments. Blessing code 2298 is now released. Stay willing. Stay open. Stay aligned. The gates ahead are about to open. Beloved one who has walked faithfully through every unfolding revelation, Archangel Michael now steps forward with a presence that feels like the culmination of every message, every warning, every whisper, and every shift that heaven has poured into your spirit up to this moment. The spiritual realm around you is electric, alive, and heavy with divine intention. You have arrived at the final passage of this heavenly warning, and what is about to be spoken is not merely insight, not merely encouragement, not merely revelation. It is the activation of everything heaven has been preparing within you. This is the moment where clarity becomes calling, where preparation becomes purpose, and where insight becomes instruction. The atmosphere is not still now. It is charged. Because you are standing inside the doorway of destiny, not approaching it. And heaven wants your spirit to recognize the magnitude of where you are. Michael reveals a vision of you on the threshold of a powerful, radiant corridor. This corridor represents both the completion of one spiritual cycle and the beginning of a new divine assignment. The light within this corridor is not soft or distant. It is bright, bold, and intentional. Heaven is no longer merely awakening you. Heaven is commissioning you. And this commissioning is why the message that brought you here carried urgency, timing, and spiritual seriousness. Grace has been extended repeatedly. Mercy has been given without measure. Warnings have been spoken with patience. But now heaven is signaling that the window before you is not simply a season. It is a divine appointment. This final revelation begins with truth about your identity. Truth heaven needs you to embrace fully. You are not simply someone who receives spiritual insight. You are someone who carries spiritual weight. You are not simply someone who listens to divine messages. You are someone who will speak them, live them, act on them, and become an instrument of clarity for others. Your wounds did not destroy you because they were meant to become wisdom. Your struggles did not bury you because they were meant to become strength. Your isolation did not break you because it was meant to become elevation. Heaven does not allow pain without purpose. Everything you endured has shaped the interior structure required for the assignment you are stepping into. Michael now reveals a deep truth about the battles you have fought. Many of the spiritual tensions, emotional storms, and sudden disturbances that shook your life were not reactions to your weakness. They were reactions to your potential. Darkness recognized your purpose long before you did. Your inner awakening created spiritual disruption long before you could understand why. But heaven has preserved you, protected you, restored you, and realigned you because your destiny demands your survival. You are stepping into a season where your authority will be felt, not just by heaven, but by every atmosphere you enter. You will carry peace into places where confusion reigns, clarity into places where truth is hidden, and light into places where heaviness lingers. This is why heaven has been so intentional with your path. There is also a revelation concerning timing. Michael shows that the shift you have been sensing is already unfolding in the background of your life. Opportunities are moving toward you. Alignments are forming quietly. People who are meant to help you are being positioned even now. Doors that were once locked are beginning to loosen. Heaven is orchestrating a convergence. Moments that appear unrelated will suddenly connect. This is divine synchronization. Heaven is moving with precision, and you must move in obedience. But this final instruction must settle deeply within you. You cannot carry hesitation into what comes next. Heaven is demanding your yes. Not a hesitant yes, not a fearful yes, not a partial yes, but a full, surrendered yes. The kind of yes that shifts destiny. The kind of yes that breaks chains. The kind of yes that aligns your life with heaven's design rather than human expectation. You must choose alignment over comfort, obedience over fear, and destiny over distraction. You cannot shrink. You cannot retreat. You cannot return to old patterns. Heaven says, step forward, for the time is now. Michael's voice softens as he reveals the final layer. Heaven will walk with you. You will not enter this new season alone. Angelic protection surrounds your path. Divine clarity will speak into your decisions. Spiritual strength will rise in moments of uncertainty. This next chapter will not resemble the struggles behind you. It will reflect the purpose before you. Heaven has prepared you well. And now, beloved, before this prophetic warning concludes, let this truth rest in your soul. Your life is shifting permanently. The gate has opened. The window has narrowed. The calling has awakened. And heaven is waiting for your response. Seal this final revelation. Type "I step into my destiny" in the comments. Blessing code 3300 is released over your life. Now, beloved, before you go, take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe, for doing so amplifies this divine message and pushes it into the hands of someone whose spirit is not yet awake, but desperately needs this guidance. Your engagement becomes a vessel through which heaven reaches others. You have just walked through a heavenly appointment, a word crafted to awaken your destiny and set your spirit into alignment. When you support this mission, whether through super thanks, channel membership, or a direct offering through the PayPal link in the description, you are not assisting a platform. You are fueling a divine assignment. Your seed becomes the oil that allows this message to reach souls who are wandering, wounded, or unaware of heaven's voice calling them home. Heaven declares, "As you sow into what carries my breath, I release what carries your breakthrough." This is not donation. This is obedience. This is partnership with light. This is spiritual alignment. And now I speak directly to your heart. Rise into faith. Act with courage. Move with heaven. Your support becomes a prophetic act, and heaven honors every act done in obedience.